Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of 2Ds in the Pod. This week, we will be continuing our review of the 2026 World Cup in the US. So join us as we discuss the way the tournament is taking shape and England's recent game against Ghana.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hot and bothered.
Hot and bothered, indeed it is. So, everybody's played 2 games now. What are your feelings so far?
2 games in now. It's a new, this new format of the third team going through is going to be interesting with 1 game to go because there's a lot of teams who don't know who they're going to play. Whereas after 2 games, usually people have got a pretty good idea where they're going. And it did cross my mind about the supporters that if you think you book Boston, but actually you end up playing in Los Angeles or something like that. That could be a challenge as well, trying to swap around tickets. I'm not sure how FIFA are handling that, but I think this round, now everybody's played twice, the kind of, what I would say the big teams, the big boys, have flexed their muscles, generally have put better performances together, have learned from their first games, gelled more as a team. By those, I mean France, Argentina, Germany. Tough game against Ivory Coast, but they always find a way to win. That was good. Spain were much better. Even England, I don't think I can get too negative. Ghana they will learn from that, and it's a good time. It's kind of like highs and lows, a roller coaster. But I don't think it was a bad performance. I mean, it was not sharp enough, but that's a different story. Maybe we can come on to that later. So those guys have kind of gone through. I thought Norway and Portugal looked better. Again, Norway had a tough game against Senegal. So Senegal have played France and lost, and played Norway and lost, but are a very good team.
Yes.
And they could cause problems to somebody, if they get through on the third game.
I think they're Africa's number 1 ranked.
Yeah. I know there was the mucking about with the cup, with Morocco and things, but
the AFCON, yeah.
So the African teams are difficult to beat. Morocco are difficult to beat. Senegal, even though they have lost to, are difficult to beat. Ivory Coast, I thought, were excellent against Germany. Ghana, we saw against England, very good, very strong. Even Congo, I think, have got some good. I don't know if any African team has stood out enough for me to say they're going to go on and win it. I still think it's probably the original things.
It's interesting that I think that the African teams have won more in this World Cup than they have in previous World Cups. I think they've won across the African teams. I think there's 10 African teams in it. They've won six games or so. So obviously, technically, they're becoming better to go with the many years of promise that have gone by. I remember the France World Cup when they kind of burst onto the scene and they started to look like they had tremendous sides, but they never quite had it with the full sort of the tactical and strategic approach that we're seeing from them now. So I agree with you. I think maybe there's not a winner there right now, but certainly down the line as coaching improves and more experience of the European leagues comes along, I think they might become more.
If I was Premier League scout, then I'd be certainly looking at that Ghana team. The left back last night against England, I thought did really. Sorry, the right back did very, very well. Very well. Fully fit. I think him and the left back and right back both played for a team that was almost relegated from the French League One.
Yes, yeah.
So there'd be players I'd be looking to, the Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouths of this world, going in and seeing if I could pick them up. Yeah, I thought so. So the thing that I'm pleased that everybody's got goals in terms of the kind of golden boot candidates. Mbappe, Messi, Ronaldo, got a couple. Haaland, Kane, obviously didn't score last night, but they're getting goals, and so there are goals in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing. There have been some very high scoring games in there. I mean, it's been interesting that the host nations, Mexico, Canada, and the US, are all unbeaten at this point.
Yeah.
The US have won 2 out of 2, Mexico won 2 out of 2. And Canada have won 1 and drawn 1. So that gives a tournament momentum as well.
Sure.
Scoring goals, the US particularly they've scored 6 goals now in their 2 games, and they're looking good. The home team, the host nation, doing well across three nations. I think it adds to the momentum.
Yeah, I think they're all qualified through to the next round. I mean, Mexico, if they stay in Mexico and play as the Azteca, there's some ridiculous stat. They've only lost once in 85 games or something. It was against Brazil in about 1970. So whether that's because of the altitude or the heat or a combination of both, crowd, I don't know. So they'll be tough. USA look strong.
They did.
Good momentum, a good team. I'm not sure they've got any superstars, but they look strong.
I think they look to Pulisic, certainly. He didn't play in the second game and they were still comfortable winners, but he's their talisman. And I think from the evidence of that first game, he was very good. And you often get that if you get home team, they coalesce around one player, and if he has a good tournament, the USA could go further than you might expect. And I think as an England fan, you wouldn't necessarily want them to run into the US during the knockout phase.
Canada looked the weakest of the three host nations. And I think when I was looking at trying to work it out, there was a BBC very kindly helped me with Canada won their group. Belgium, who were third in their group, would play them. And I was thinking, if I was Belgium, I wouldn't mind. That would be quite a nice result, actually, to go and play Canada. Because if you were second or first, you might play somebody like Argentina or something. You'd be thinking, I'd rather play Canada. But that dynamic, I mean, it starts tonight, the second round, or the third matches of the group. And so the second round will start to open up. Will be interesting. How many dead rubbers there are, I don't know. How many teams need 1 point or want to win the group and go somewhere else? Yeah, that would be interesting.
One of the criticisms is that the FIFA have decided that results go on the head-to-head basis, which means there will be more dead rubbers than there might otherwise be. If goal difference was a factor, a team could, in theory, win by a large amount and actually qualify, whereas now there might be dead rubbers because they've lost 2 games. And in that third place league that you spoke about earlier, you know, they're out pitching kind of thing.
I think that the other thing, because there are so many teams, I mean, Scotland, Brazil tonight is their last game in that group. The last game in whatever England's group is next Saturday. So it's 4 or 5 days between teams knowing who they're going to play. The teams that come towards the end of this week, England, for example, will probably have a better idea if we win, if we play these guys. If we're second in the group, we play these. If we're third, play these. I hope it doesn't. Might factor. I mean, you want to win a group. You want to win, and you want to move on. And
you would hope that that's their ambition. They wouldn't want to try and risk it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the way you'd want it to go. I mean, there are some dangers in teams that are second, particularly for me, Ivory Coast, even Brazil. You know, if Morocco could win that group, for example, and Brazil was second, and you played them, you would think the big boys would be okay, but Portugal would be difficult to play against. Norway.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. Most of, once you get to that last 32, there's many good sides in it. You could easily be knocked out early in the tournament than you might not have anticipated.
I think the game I've enjoyed most of the second round is probably Germany, Ivory Coast. I thought that was a great game. Ivory Coast were strong. Germans always have although they might not be as good as them years gone by, they're still a strong team. And I thought they had a couple of good players. There's the guy who played in the middle. I don't even know where he plays. Number 23, I think was in their midfield, was excellent. And again, the subs they made just gave them enough to get the win, as Germany always do. They seem to find a way through.
Yeah, very efficient, aren't they? They've got, again, Germany don't really have any superstars in their side. They've obviously got good players, but again, they're a team who they have that cohesiveness, and every tournament they go into, they're a threat. We've named about 10, 12 teams who all potentially could win it, and there might be some outsiders in addition to that as well.
I thought France were a bit lazy, actually. They played very well, and they won, obviously. I wouldn't say they played very well. They played well within their skins, and they, instead of doing sometimes the simple passes, they were trying to take a player on and do this, or, going straight for goal. And I thought a bit more discipline, they would have looked a better team. Now, maybe against better opposition, they will tighten up the game a bit, but I thought they well worth the value for winning, but I thought they were a little bit kind of selfish and lazy. They didn't.
I mean, they are a superstar team, right? They've got Mbappe, who kind of is they've got great players all around him, but he kind of is the focus of the team. And I think if he plays well, they'll be like Argentina, having Messi playing well. They'll be successful. If he plays badly, I don't know if anybody else, even though they've got some top players, have the same ability to step up to the plate. So that will be interesting.
The one thing is, I mean, I don't think of him as a traditional number 9 centre forward. He's a bit of a 10. He's a left winger, right winger. Kind of not.
Yeah, they're pushing him more central. For a long time he was wide on the left, and if you remember, Carl Walker did very well against him because Walker was simply quicker than him. But now they've pushed him more inside, and I think he's more of a threat because he can come from either side. They have very good.
I don't actually know if any team has got what I would call an old-fashioned. Probably Kane is, but even Kane is playing much deeper than he normally does. Other than Haaland, I don't think there's a kind of more, which I do think of him as a traditional kind of number 9.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure the other teams have anybody who's really.
There's no big out and out
Spain certainly.
Spain don't. Argentina look very good and very technical. I wonder how they cope in a very physical game where the ball was put forward a lot and a big centre forward to deal with. Maybe an African side. That might be a
Yeah, it might be a challenge for them. I mean, Romero and Martinez as a centre back pair do very well. Despite their height, normally centre halves are 6 foot plus now, 6 foot.
Yeah,
6'4". Those guys have a lot of nous, and I think they're niggly players as well. I think you've been in the game against them by probably the marks that you've got up the back of your leg and the little just them. I could certainly see them getting Bellingham wound up if he was coming through.
Well, yeah, I think that he'd be a prime target.
Yeah, just as an aside on that, I'm amazed now that what Tottenham have done quietly in this World Cup in terms of signings and things. They've got the big Dutch centre half from who's playing for Holland. They've got Mickey van der Ven anyway. I don't know about Romero, whether he's going to stay or go.
We'll probably go.
They've got the guy from the other Argentinian from Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They've got Robinson. They've really picked up their recruitment. All of these were kind of bubbling under, and it was going to see if Tottenham stayed up. But I think Tottenham seem to have had a good World Cup.
Yes. Maybe we'll see.
Maybe we can talk about that maybe at the end of the season. But
yeah. So
okay.
The England game.
Yeah.
That's the hot topic. So what are your initial thoughts on the England game?
I think they really struggled to break Ghana down. I mean, Ghana were 5 defenders and 4 in front of them, and there just didn't seem any way that England were going to break them down. I think there was some frustration with Bellingham and even Anderson. They played very well, kept the ball moving, did their jobs, cut out threats, but I didn't feel there was any one player, until Saka come on maybe, that would make something happen around the box. Those guys, the Ghanaians, with the coach they've got, were very comfortable with defending.
I agree. I think, and this goes back to our earlier conversations around the players that Tuchel didn't bring with him. The types of players, the types of 10s we have there are powerful 10s who play very well in space, but somebody like a Foden or a Palmer, not there. Somebody with a bit of magic could open things up around the tight box like that. Even a Wharton, who's good from passing quickly through the lines from deep. Again, that might have been made a difference. So he's limited himself by his vision of what a number 10 should be. And if he thinks Rodgers and Bellingham are that type of player, then we will run into problems with teams like Ghana and possibly even Panama, where we won't have the craft in those tight areas to break them down.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't, unless he uses Rodgers and then moves Bellingham, but would he drop Bellingham? I mean, I wouldn't say Hassan and Anderson are doing very, very well. I wouldn't think, I'd get rid of them and move Bellingham back. I wouldn't see that as a forward move. I would think that if anywhere I might think I need a number 10.
Yeah. I think he might pick Bellingham as an 8, so he could have 2 8s and a 6. Rice and him could be an 8 and 6. And they could play Bellingham as a 10, and then you might have Saka and Kane up front. So you might change the shape slightly to accommodate that. I don't think we've done well enough on the wings. Although Madueke had a good game, so maybe you could start with Madueke. But Gordon, I think, hasn't really, in 2 games, really delivered. His position might be under threat.
I quite like the fact that Madueke switched wings, because I don't think they do that enough. It seems to be, they like to have, most teams, modern teams, like to have a left-footed right wing and a right-footed left wing there, so they cut it in all the time.
Yes,
and I think that does give a point of difference, and you could switch them even during the game. If one player's it's not working for them on the left wing, you could switch him to the right wing. And I think Saka, obviously, they're working his game time training with him, so whether he could play the full game or not, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But he added something, a bit of spark. But I think he needed another. I mean, I love Eze as a player, but in the Crystal Palace, he was part of a less defended, and then so fast hit them on that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's that kind of number 10 where he's around the box, linking play. I don't think he did that at Palace, and I don't think he's really done that at Arsenal either.
No, he was more left-sided at Arsenal, wasn't he, coming in from the left? And it's really those players who can play very technically in those tight areas, small spaces, which we definitely lacked. And just as an aside, we've left Harry Maguire home, but he's somebody who can score a goal with his head. And if we had 19 shots against Ghana, light crosses into the box, somebody like Maguire might have been more of a threat than we got from maybe Gahey and Konsa, who are smaller.
Smaller.
So Tuchel's selection kind of limiting him on the day because his vision about what his team.
Sure. Riley is tall. I think he's about 6'3", isn't he?
6'3", 6'4", and hit the bar with a header.
Hit the bar with a header. Didn't really do enough. I know he missed that chance, and he came back and played. He was playing that quarterback kind of number 10 role sometimes. That's okay, but only if you've got players who are going to run ahead of him.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not sure.
We didn't do that well enough, I don't think. I think against Croatia it worked very well, but for whatever reason he was dropping in. Maybe they just wasn't going to, maybe just they'd seen that tactic and realised they didn't want to leave any space in behind, so the low block kind of limits your ability to...
I mean, they could have had a goal on the break. They could have had a penalty.
Yes.
I mean, it's very controversial, if you like. Probably would have given it as a penalty. I probably would have done. Not saying they would have scored. I don't think they had any other major chances, one or two.
I think they had 2 shots in the whole game, none on target. But they looked threatening on a few occasions. They only had 15-20% possession. But that's all you really need. If you've got quick forwards and you've got players like Semenyo on the side, even Ayew, who scored goals.
Well, considering I thought he's 34.
He really played his ground, didn't he? He wanted to...
he was there. He was in the point. I thought he was gone. I mean, nobody would... I don't know where he plays now. I think
Leicester. He's been relegated 2 years running. Yeah.
Right. So but he played very well. I thought he was a threat to England. He stood up to the.
What's the new contract next year? He wanted to demonstrate.
He's got one more year left in him.
Yeah.
I think that actually makes the point about. I mean, Bellingham to get 50 caps at 22 is amazing.
Yes.
And there were, other guys with 100 plus caps are there, and we've said before, and you've got Ayew who's 34 playing, and Kane, and Messi is 38 or 39 today, I can't remember.
No, that Ronaldo's in his 40s.
Ronaldo's 41, he got a couple of goals, which I'm glad for him, because he always, most people are against him, but I think him or Messi are the greatest player at the time. They're different players, and we can have an argument about that on another day, but I'm glad he got a couple of goals as well. It'd be good for him, it'd be good for the team, it'd be good for Portugal.
And good for the tournament, right? Again, it's another story. If it had been a story of failure, that is a story, right? But that's probably not a positive story. That so you probably want him carrying on in the tournament and scoring goals.
Bugbears of the tournament.
So the structure of the tournament, I think too many teams, too many games where, like the England-Ghana game, where you're always going to get those kind of games, but there seems to be a lot of those games where there's a small team defending deep and there's a big team just trying to score. And in my view, a World Cup should be about the big teams playing each other. For me, too many teams in the tournament, not enough big teams playing each other early door, and that's down to structure. What about yourself?
I think I said before, I don't mind the expansion. I think that it has been good, and I think it's up to... I think when we get to the round of 32 and the round of 16, the Cape Verdes and Suave and Curacao, they've played amazingly well, but they would have gone by then. It's still this hydration stuff. I mean, you made the point when we spoke last week was about the change in momentum, and you can actually see it. It is strong, that momentum change. And when you've got players, even like Ghana, they've got a great coach, and there's a couple of other African teams who've got really well experienced coaches who've been to many, many tournaments. They get hold of those guys and they reinforce the message that they want to do. And that gives them that extra buzz to go for another 15, 20 minutes. And I think, whereas in a normal game, they would probably lose that. Yeah. The England game was the worst example of that, because they had the injury, I think, and then they had a
2-minute break for the injury, and then they played for 30 seconds, and then they had a 3-minute break.
I don't know if they said, reading this morning, it's more about the referee not having the common sense rather than the FIFA, because there's a set time. I don't know.
I understood, and I don't know if it's true, is the advertisers
right
in the US have that 3-minute period for their advertisements, so that 3-minute period has to happen at about that time, and if you press the button too early, they don't. So I don't know if that's the case, but
I did hear Thomas Frank actually say, when he was being interviewed about them, that he thought, which I totally understand, that this could become a norm, because if I'm Sky and I've paid £1 billion for the Champions League, whatever highlights, whatever it is, and football's taken that money, and these players are earning that money, for me to say, actually, I can get another 3 minutes of ads in, it's difficult for those that to say, well, that's not fair. That's not, well, it actually is, because that's why you're getting paid £1 billion, for the tournament.
From a financial point of view, you're right. I think the fans the fans, you can see everybody boos. Every time there's a hydration break, they boo. It's like 20 degrees in the stadium, it's raining, and they're having hydration. So everybody knows it's ridiculous. Whether the fans will let that happen, I don't know. I don't know how the fans
We'll see. It's the first time it's been done. We'll see what happens there. Okay, I think last thing is, when we spoke last week, everybody had played once. We both thought France were, with England, probably second. Has that changed for you?
It has probably slightly, in that I still think France will win it. I still think they've got the star players. I think Mbappe's playing very well. I think there's been a little bit of a loss of momentum on the England side. I don't think it's a disaster. I mean, they played well at times. They had a lot of possession, they had a lot of chances, but it did highlight where the weaknesses in that squad is. So I'd say England have probably fallen down the pecking order. And the only other thing for me is that the sheer number of teams, as we discussed earlier, that have a chance in this tournament. What about yourself? Any thoughts?
I think France are still the standout team, but there are England are one of them. And whereas before I thought it was France and maybe England, now I think it could also maybe be Argentina, could also maybe be Spain, could also maybe be Germany. They could get through. I don't think there's a host nation that will get through. I'm not seeing them strong enough at the end. But the interesting thing is, when they sort out this week who's playing who, that will eliminate some of these big boys. Like Holland are a good team. They could be playing or Norway could get goals against you, and you could be playing them, one of these, and you could be out.
Exactly.
So I still think France, but let's see next week, huh?
Indeed. Okay, great.
Okay.
Good to speak to you.
See you soon.
Well, that's it for this week. Join us next time as we review the latest events in the 2026 World Cup.